Hey everybody, it's great to do this video. This is on the island of Oahu, Hawaii, and my sister lived there for several years, and I had the chance to visit several times. And the thing I was most impressed about with Oahu is that it's a very populated island, but there's so many spots that I went to where you can stand on a beach and look in both directions and see absolutely no one. So I'm excited to share with you some of the spots that I visited when I was on Oahu. And hopefully you can pull up a map as you watch this video and go along and follow on the map so that you'll have a better idea of where these spots are. We're going to start with Hanama Bay, which was a spectacular and magical spot for me. So let's get right into it, and I'll do a brief introduction before each of the sections. And again, don't forget to follow it on a map.
And this is Hanama Bay. We pulled up and it was a rainstorm. My sister and I got out of the car and we went right back in the car, waited for the rain to stop, and in about 5 minutes the sun came out. We walked over to the edge where the staircase begins that you walk down, and I just had to take these first two photographs. Just a classic image of Hanama Bay. And so what you do is you walk in. You do have to pay to get into this park, but it's definitely worth it. They keep really good care of it. They give you a short video on how to respect the reef and the fish and the park itself. And once you get down there, you really feel like you're just out in nature. There's a lot of people. I suggest going as soon as they open. Look up the times and get there as soon as they open. But you walk down onto the beach and you look left and there's an old crater, and you looked right and the beach just goes on forever. And then once you get in the water with that snorkel and that mask on, you can see from these photographs how beautiful it really is. And we saw all kinds of fish when we were there, and sea urchins and different colors, some yellows and some blues. Just spectacular. I really recommend Hanama Bay. It's definitely worthwhile, and I would go there again for sure. So we're moving now into the central part of Oahu, and that's where the Dole Pineapple Plantation is located. It's a real neat spot, and if you're driving through the center of the island, it's definitely worth stopping. If you're going to head up to the North Shore, you pretty much got to go right past it to get to the North Shore, so you can make that part of your trip. But there's a neat little train that goes around the plantation and lots of signs that explain how pineapples are grown and how the process works, and just a nice spot to stop to get a bite to eat and hang out for a little bit. One of the things I love about going to new places is the little things you come across. For example, these trees that I saw in the city of Wahiawa in the central part of Oahu. Just spectacular how big they are. Very different from what I'm used to in the Great Lakes region. And when you're driving through the business district, the mountains just sprouting out of the ground in the background. Fascinating. Without a doubt, my favorite city on Oahu is Haleiwa. It's just spectacular. The village itself with all the shops and restaurant, the mountains, the scenery, the ocean, the harbor, the beaches, and the wildlife. Sea turtles, saw several sea turtles. This is a spot where I took a surfing lesson with a gentleman named Edison. Excellent instructor. Had a lot of fun, learned how to surf, and as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, there's some spots on Oahu where there's just no people, and this beach is one of the examples. When you walk out to the end of the point by the beginner's surfing beach in Haleiwa, and you go out to the point and just around the corner to the east, and you look down this beach and you can see as far as Waimea Bay. And in the one picture, you'll see the little dot. It's a little white dot, and that's the church tower in Waimea Bay. And there's just no one. The whole beach, as far as you could see, was just you and the ocean. is just amazing. So we're still on the North Shore here, and now we're actually right at Waimea Bay, where you could see the church tower in the background in the previous photos. I had to get up close and right next to the church tower to take a photograph, because to me that's the iconic landmark in Waimea Bay. Just across the street from the bay itself is a neat place called Waimea Falls, and there's a hiking trail that you can hike up to the falls. You do have to pay to get into the hiking trail that goes up to the falls, but it's not real expensive and it's definitely worth it. Some of the trees were really interesting. I just found it spectacular to look up and see this web of branches. And then there's the peacocks. I don't know how they got there, but they're wandering around all over the place, and just beautiful to stop and take a look at. And Sunset Beach is not far from Waimea Bay. Just happened to be a stand-up paddle surfing contest when I was there, which was really fun to see and meet a few of the athletes. And there were some kite surfers out there after the contest was over. Just beautiful to see the event. And while you're on the North Shore, if you drive all the way to the east end of the North Shore, there's a parking area that you can pull off on. And if you walk to the left, just slightly west from the parking area, and go through this group of trees, you'll look down another beach where there's just nobody. It's just you, the trees, the waves. I brought my snorkel and my mask, and I did some snorkeling in what I call secret spot. So take a look on your map and just head east on the North Shore, and before you turn to go south, there's a parking lot, and check it out, see if you can find it. So probably the best known city on Oahu is Waikiki. Everybody's heard of it. There's all kinds of fancy stores and hotels. There was actually a really neat outdoor mall that I walked through, had lunch there. And when you're walking through the streets, it's kind of neat to look down the alleyways, because the alleyways are just littered with surfboards and stand-up paddle boards. And once you get to the end of the alleyway, you come out onto the beach, and if you look left, there's Diamond Head, and if you look right, there's big hotels. On the beach, there's all kinds of outrigger canoes and surfboards. And then once you look out into the water, there's all kinds of people who are surfing and paddleboarding. Just a really neat spot to stop. I didn't spend too much time there because I was more interested in the nature areas, but it was still a lot of fun to hang out there for a day. So now we're back to the southeast corner of Oahu, and this is Kailua Bay. My sister and I spent a day there on the beach. We went out to lunch, we did some swimming. Just a real pretty place, probably some of the bluest water that I saw when I was on Oahu. If you're going to go out to lunch or dinner, I do suggest you make a reservation, because all the restaurants were very busy and you won't be able to get in unless you have a reservation. So still in the southeast corner of Oahu is Valley of the Temples. And when you first walk up and you see the replica of the Buddhist temple with the big mountain in the background, you're just in awe. I was just marveled by this area. You can drive around and different religions are represented in different sections of the area, and all around you are just majestic mountains. I really enjoyed spending a few hours here. So we're gonna wrap up this video as we head to Kaena Point. And as I drove to Kaena Point, there was a big beach on the right, and I pulled over and stopped and saw several people kiteboarding out in the ocean. And then I got back in the car and I drove to Kaena Point. When I got there, I talked to some people and they said there's a hike you can do. and you park your car at the end of this dirt road and you start hiking out. It's a pretty far hike. It probably took a good hour and a half, 2 hours each way. And on the way, I saw seals. When I got out to the point, it was just full of albatross. Apparently, it's a breeding ground for albatross. And when I got to the very end of the point, there's really no more hiking trail, and you kind of climb down on these rocks, and the waves are crashing in. And when you look back up the land, back up the point, to the left, you're looking at the North Shore, and to the right, you're looking at the Waianae Coast. And it was a really, really neat spot to be because it's so green and the waves are crashing in. And I think this was probably one of my favorite spots on the island. Of course, I've said that about other spots as well. Hey, listen, I really hope you enjoyed this video. And remember, pull out your map and take a look at all the spots I've talked about as you plan your trip to Oahu. And I wish you a wonderful, magical experience. Have a great day.